Peggy 18.
Proxy wars, climate wars.
Cities are being abandoned.
Burnt out, dark, dead world.
It's a world that frightens me, to be honest. It's a world I wouldn't want to be part of it.
DeathSprint 66 is set in 2066. There was a climate war that happened several years beforehand. Basically, the entire world's climate went crazy and everyone had to move into the Goldilocks zones. There are loads and loads of cities that have been abandoned because they're too harsh to live in or they've been flooded. And that's basic cheap real estate that Bachman can buy and put racing tracks in it.
We have a protagonist behind the scenes, and he's called Braylon Bachman. And Braylon Bachman is a wealthy tech entrepreneur, and Bachman Media Network is just one of his many companies.
The tracks themselves are bright and colourful. There's laser lights and adverts and noise and like celebration and stuff going on everywhere. And I think that's quite an interesting contrast.
We opted for near future because we quite like to leave it believable. The technology always is a little bit advanced.
It gives us so much more freedom in terms of what we do because we can say technologically this thing is possible now. So we have floating traps and jump pads that boost you into the air.
We had a lot of conversations about what technology we could envision in our world where someone is getting killed and then you're immediately respawning. We actually wanted a justification for that. What if it was an avatar that you were controlling and that respawn is effectively you severing connection with your avatar, and then the game should immediately give you a fresh clone and you dial straight into that, and so you keep running. So in terms of the track design, we wanted these to be almost like roller coasters, so lots of kind of areas where you'll slide, lots of, tight banking corners. There's a lot of lessons we brought in from experience from track design for racing cars. And then when it comes to bipedal, it's people, you don't need the width of the track, so the tracks are a little bit narrow in places. And again, that helps with a sense of speed, but it also keeps the pack together. So the game is a lot of fun when you're shoulder to shoulder with the other contestants.
Obviously a humanoid, the clone character is so much more agile and small. There's a lot more interactivity that they can have with the track that a car couldn't.
You're not limited to your feet always being on the ground. You can use every kind of dimension of the space that you're in. You can jump up and grab onto a zip line. We have jump pads that catapult you through the air at a massive speed. So there's loads of ways that you can traverse around a level in this game.
The soundtrack, it's going to have its own custom OST. So we have a composer who's writing music for everything.
We've gone for just a sense of adrenaline, really, in the race. So the music is quite fast-paced. It remains fast-paced all the way through the race.
We also have so much going on in the game that there's moments, we need to punctuate those moments with gameplay triggers, so when you're picking up an ability, when another player's about to, smash into you or cut you with a saw blade, what you need to hear cuts through at the right moments.
We've obviously put a lot of thought into it. We've done a pretty good job of keeping the fun elements of driving a car, so things like speed and drifting, but also mixing that in with things that are unique to being on foot, like the traversals and combat and gore, obviously. We've really made sure we can maintain maneuverability and precision and responsiveness. There's a lot of aspects that go into giving the character weight, but one of the specific ones that I've worked on is a momentum system, which is a system that allows the player to gain speed as they travel through traversals and around the track, and to carry that speed and keep getting faster and faster and faster to the point where you're blurring the line between being in control and being totally out of control. There's also things like the surge, which is our version of NOS, I guess, in a car racing game. That does allow you to go faster and catch up, but then you still have to have the skill to pull that off without running headfirst into a trap.
Created an incredibly shareable game, and I think that's largely down to the PvP action, the carnage. So yeah, for the most part, the stuff that kind of gets us fist pumping and shouting, swearing and laughing during play tests, the player-on-player encounters. We've got a range of fun and quite deadly abilities, and you pop them at the right time and you're going to have a lot of laughs.
I actually expect there to be so many ways that people play this game to get around a trap or move around an area that we never would have thought of.
There's so many different options that they have, like traversals and traps and things, and combinations of that with the abilities and other players and other behaviours that people might have in the game. There's just a massive, wide open space for what players are going to find to do. I'm really excited to see what people are going to make of this game.
What I hope players will feel from DeathSprint 66 is tremendous sense of excitement, empowerment through their movement through the world, thrills, kills, laughs, embrace the violence, and hopefully have a joyous time.
I wanted players to be able to piece together the history of Bachman Media Network. Weaving that into the tracks has been a really, really important part of making the game feel like an actual living place.
Something that we've really tried to push amongst level design is the idea of risk versus reward. So we want the riskier routes to be more rewarding.
Do you risk trying to make it past these deadly traps to maybe get a tribute, or do you play it safe?